And we're back. We
Apparently.
are live, apparently, live on
Oh, there he is.
YouTube. There I am. Now I'm back.
Here we are. Hi,
Uh,
everybody. Here we
Hi,
are.
everybody.
For those of you who aren't watching us on YouTube, we are available quite a few places right now. But we're not the most technologically advanced of folks, so Rob has to kind of give me the go-ahead on our YouTube live. But we're kind of learning as we go. But we are live once again. How you doing, Rob? It's been a while.
Good. How are you? It has been a while. It's been a lot
Just
of
lucky.
fun, though. All this quarantine stuff has been lots and lots of fun.
Yeah, I don't agree. It's not been fun for me. I don't know what you've been doing at your house, whether you're having parties here, but we are back with Banter,
No,
Beskar, and Banthamilk. We are,
we sure are.
generally speaking, a Mandalorian podcast, but we're all sorts of Star Wars here. And we're here live, coming at you from each of our respective houses once again, because
Correct.
as has been for quite some time now, we're stuck.
We're stuck.
We're stuck. We're stuck in one
We
spot.
are stuck in one spot. We're not allowed to go anywhere. And it's funny. We are, what show number is this? Are we up to 18 or 19, something like that? I think we're up to 19th show already.
Really?
Yes, and it finally just hit me why you always say that we are Banter, Beskar, and Banthamilk in the beginning,
Yeah.
because our intro music doesn't say it at all.
Yeah, but
And
you
I
know
found
what?
that to be very funny.
Neither does The Office's intro. The Office doesn't need to
That's
say The
true.
Office in their intro music, and we don't need to say Banter, Beskar, and Banthamilk in ours. That's good
That is
enough. That's
correct. We
good
do
enough for
not
you,
need
for
to
us.
do that. And that's right. Then why not good enough for us?
That's right.
Um,
So we are back at you, and of course, obviously, the name of the game is Banter, Beskar, and Banthamilk, and we want to get started with the Banthamilk early this one time. And you're asking me why? Why? Because life is stressful, and I really want to get to the Banthamilk, Rob. Um,
I hear you.
so what do you have today? We're doing this our own private quarantinis for the time being because once again, A, we're in quarantine and it's hard to get liquor, and B, our fans haven't sent us too many suggestions recently. So what do you got
Right.
going on for
And
today?
we've been a little too lazy to do it ourselves. So I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
drinking some Hell or High watermelon from the 21st Amendment. And you may ask why
Why? Why, Rob?
I'm
Why are you
this.
drinking that particular beer?
That is a great question because we are now affiliated with the Ears Up Podcast Network. There's a bunch of shows on there. There's the original Ears Up show, which talks all about Disneyland. There's Ears Up in Depth, which is Jeremy and Jason talking about Disney news stories. They do that. I think they do that twice a month as well.
Me and Rob
And
actually
then
took
there's another show.
had our debut on their show last week.
I'm losing
Uh
Nick's
oh.
voice. Nick's trying to say something.
Go ahead. Hold on.
I don't know if he's pretending or not,
No, we're
or if
good.
his mic went out.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear
Yeah,
you.
so I told you this microphone wasn't working so well. I had to switch over to a different mic. So we'll make do with what we have. Again, we're kind of on, we're flying by the seat of our pants here.
Yes.
Anyway, Rob was
Anyway,
talking about these shows, and what I was saying is we actually made our debut last week on one of those shows.
yes, we did. We were on the Ears Up Network last week, promoting our show, talking to them a little bit. They're wonderful people out
If you
there, and we
have
had.
been the people who have come from the Ears Up Network to listen to us, thank you. Thank you for doing
Thank
that. We're
you.
glad to have you.
Yes,
If you are not here from the Ears Up Network, then we're glad to have you anyway. We
that's
like you
right.
too, but we like
We
you
like you
more.
just as much. Yes. They have another show called The Supreme Resort, which they compare similar rides or similar attractions at both Disney World and Disneyland. And then at the end of the show, they have an award winning and all that good stuff. A couple other things we really want to promote for them, because it helps us in the long run as well. So they have a Patreon page, Ears Up Podcast Patreon. So if you like this show, if you go over to their show and you like any of their shows, support their Patreon page. They have an Etsy page, which is actually under Cove Ears because Jason started making these Cove Ear things, but now they're selling all kinds of shirts and stuff that are all about their Ears Up stuff. I'm jumping the shark, not jumping the shark, jumping the gun a little bit here. We're designing a new logo, so hopefully we can get our logo on one of their Ears Up shirts.
Yeah, so
Uh,
let's talk that logo, right? Because you are able to catch us on all sorts of different places online, as we call it, the social medias. We are at Banthamilk Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. We've been posting a lot recently. We've been posting on our stories. We've been asking questions, right? We're hoping to get some of your feedback, so make sure you look out for
yes,
that. We're Banthamilk on Twitter, and we have a website. What is the website? It's a .com, Rob. We have our own .com.
We have a full-fledged website now. We are also banthamilkpodcast.com. So
That's right.
here's the deal. I was thinking about this. We're all friends here, right?
That's dangerous. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we're friends. And me thinking was dangerous, that's for sure. So my name, well, your name is the same no matter what. Like no, I take that back. He goes Nicholas to Nick.
Yeah.
I go from Robert is my formal name to Rob is what everybody calls me.
Right.
Our show's formal name, Banter, Beskar, and Banthamilk, but all us friends, we like to call ourselves just Banthamilk Podcast. So hashtag Banthamilk Podcasts.
Yeah,
So
sometimes we get lazy. You've known this now. We can't find our own drinks. We can't finalize our own drink rating system. And we can't get through the entirety of our name, right?
That's right. It's too long for us.
If you hear us say Banthamilk Podcast, you know what we're talking about.
It's the same thing. That's right.
Rob was able to talk about his Banthamilk. I'm going to crack into mine.
Oh yes,
real quick,
crack into yours.
I need it. Right here, I've just got some bullet bourbon.
Nice.
My wife and I are in the process of buying a house. And this is something that you really need in your life when you've got
true. And is it a Stormtrooper?
Yes, we have our nice Stormtrooper decanter that my wife.
That is very nice.
Either Christmas or birthday. My sister also got me this same exact decanter.
No way, that's awesome.
Which is great because my wife likes to have like one of these filled with a brown liquid and one filled with a clear liquid like a vodka and a whiskey. So it's nice.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna pour myself a little brown Banthamilk, which is not the
there you go
color of Banthamilk, but
no. So it's funny. I was going back while you're pouring that for our website. I'm creating a page of our rating system, how much it fluctuates and everything like that. But letting just having one central page that has every episode's drink name, what we rated it, and all that good stuff listed on the one page. So it's been a lot of fun. We had we had a couple of Jar Jars thrown in there. A few. We had a couple of.
I can't get past the giggling Yoda.
No, the giggling Yoda was
in my mind as one of the most unfortunate liquids I've had to drink.
Oh, that was nasty. This Hell or High Watermelon is delicious. So cheers. Wait, where did it go? There we go. Cheers. I'm somewhere over there. Cheers.
And I'll tell you.
Good stuff.
I'm sure there is some canon Star Wars whiskey that I could have looked up and had a thing to talk about for today, but I didn't.
That's okay.
But if there's one thing that makes me feel the Force, it is that first sip of a nice bourbon.
Okay.
And just that warmth spreading from your chest.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand that.
So I'm feeling pretty good.
There you go.
So we're going to get into it right now, right? With our quarantine.
Yes.
We've talked about Ears Up. Please make sure you go and support Ears Up.
Mm-hmm.
They're supporting us. So if you
they sure are.
You're supporting us as well. That Patreon thing is a really cool thing if you haven't done the Patreon thing. For those of you who don't know the starving artist thing, it's real, right? We do it for fun. This is just, a good time. But we do want to reach more people, right? So that Patreon does help. But we are going to go from here into some news, right? We do have a lot of news has popped up over the last couple of weeks, both in just Star Wars generally and in the Mandalorian, because it looks like they're gearing up for season 2. And didn't you say that there was already a season 3 that's been approved?
Yes, season 3 has already been approved, which is very exciting. So we definitely know that we're going to get a season 2 and a season 3, which is awesome.
All right, so I would have to assume, now anything can happen, but I have to assume our buddy Kyle's going to make it at least through the second season.
You would think, yeah.
Now, with that third season, I'm wondering, are they going to use this baby Yoda as the plot device for the entire series? Or is this just going to be like, I think this is going to be like the major plot device, the baby Yoda. I think baby Yoda is going to be like his sidekick the whole time.
I think they're both going to be there
you think we're going to see
for the long haul, yeah, to 900 years old, yeah.
Like where he's just kind of moody and like stays in his room and he
stays in his room all the time.
Nails black and stuff.
Yeah, stays up all night, sleeps all day. Yeah, those type of things.
Sounds like
yeah.
But we had lots of news.
Yes, but before we get directly into the news, funny stories dealing with podcasts. There's another podcast, little person called Ron Burgundy. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not before, from the Anchorman. Yeah. So he just recently had an episode of 10 people that he would want to meet in heaven. And one of those people that he would want to meet in heaven is Yoda. And his sidekick said, Yoda's not real. And he said, oh, stop, I saw him, he's real, whatever, in typical Ron Burgundy fashion. But he said he didn't want to meet Baby Yoda because he was a punk or something like that because he doesn't talk, and it was pretty funny.
I'm a
So
little confused. Ron Burgundy has a podcast.
yes, and it's very funny.
Is it Will Ferrell?
It's Will Ferrell
As
as
Ron
Ron
Burgundy.
Burgundy. Yep, and then he has another person. It's taking place in modern day, which is a little weird because
Okay.
Ron Burgundy hasn't aged apparently at all from the 70s to the 2020s.
That's fair.
But then whatever, it is what it is.
Is this like something that he's doing like because of the quarantine?
No, he
Like,
started this. He started this before the quarantine. So
okay, I thought
yeah,
this was one of those like that John Krasinski Good News
no,
Network
some
or
good
something.
news. No,
Yeah, which apparently just got sold to CBS and people are all up in arms about it. I don't know if you heard about
because
that.
he started it as like a fun thing, and now CBS is like gonna
And he's
try
not
and
going to be like
monopolize
the
on.
host anymore and stuff. So it's a whole.
Oh,
I don't know.
that's all. That's a whole other thing.
I think he's going to be an executive producer. I don't know. When we
Okay.
start talking
Well,
about one thing on this podcast, we could start talking about
we
another.
start talking about
I
anything.
feel like
Yes. So
we need like 4 or 5 different podcasts. One for Star
yes,
Wars, one for like all the tangents that we get off
that
on
we.
talking
Yep.
about. You know.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. So let's get back to Star Wars, shall we? Let's get back to The Mandalorian. So you have lots of fun stuff. I can't believe all the people that are going to be in season 2.
No. So I know did last week I think in the Super Show, if you caught our last episode, we had our big panel discussion Super Show, right? We had a bunch of guests. We had Rob, we had me, of course. We had my wife Pagan joined us. We had Chris joined us. We had our buddy Tom joined us. We of course had our buddy from Ears Up join us as well, right? And we all got
Jason from Ears Up was there. Yeah.
and so I think last episode we discussed the one, right? We had talked about Rosario Dawson.
Yes, we definitely.
Okay,
Where are
so
my glasses? I lost my glasses.
well, they're not on your head, Rob. They're
Yeah,
not on your
well,
head.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
So
So
Rosario Dawson has been cast as what has become a lot of people's favorite Jedi anymore, right? Ahsoka Tano.
yes, Ahsoka
And,
Tano.
and from what I understand, she's going to be cast in The Mandalorian, and then she's going to get her own special, right?
Oh,
her own. I
her
heard
own
that she's going
spinoff.
to get her own spinoff. That's what I had heard.
Well, I know
If you had heard
Chris.
something different,
Chris was hoping that.
I'd
Chris.
watch that for sure. I haven't heard anything about the Kenobi series in a while, by the way. Have you?
I saw one picture of the Kenobi series just recently.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's been in the
but yeah,
in a while. You'd think you'd hear a little bit about it.
yeah, and they were supposedly like filming that when that was supposed to start when The Mandalorian ended,
Right.
and it hasn't. So I have no idea what's going on with that. I know they went through a couple different writers and stuff like that. So who knows? They don't have our good friend Dave on there. That's the problem.
That is the problem.
That is the problem.
I didn't realize. So Dave Filoni got his start. I've been watching, you have as well the making of series for The Mandalorian.
Yes, great
great
show.
And I had not realized that Dave Filoni got his start or one of his starts with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
My son's watching it right now, and I said to him, "Dave Filoni started in that," and he was.
I haven't seen it. I saw the terrible live action movie that everyone hates.
Okay.
But everyone I know who likes Avatar says that it's got just one of the greatest stories, the greatest character development of any like recent anime. And for you anime fans out there, you tell me, because if that's the case, I mean, it sure makes sense that Dave Filoni worked on it, because it seems like everything he touches is gold.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller. That's what I've come to the conclusion of.
But when he continues this story in the second season, it looks like we got even a new guy, because you recall that big question mark from season 1, right? At the end of the it was the one with Toro Calican, right? The episode with Toro Calican.
Okay, our favorite episode.
Oh yeah, our favorite
with our favorite character, Toro Calican. Yeah.
At the end of that episode, we got that shot of those mysterious boots, right? And there was
the Spurs. Who was it?
Who is that guy? And we had our theories,
yes, right? We sure did.
That's got to be Boba Fett, right?
Right.
Well, it might not be, right?
No,
but it might. It's kind of like a red herring, I think they're throwing at us, because it looks like Timothy Oliphant, our boy Danny Cordray for you office.
Yes.
Out there,
yep.
Will be playing Cobb Vanth.
Yes.
In season 2 of The Mandalorian, and will be donning Boba Fett's armor.
Right. So he's Cobb Vanth. For those of you that don't know, I didn't know until I read this as well. Is from the Aftermath trilogy, and he's a lawman on Tatooine.
In a settlement called Freetown.
In a settlement called Freetown. It used to be called Mos Pelego, and then he renamed it Freetown, and he was the lawman of this town after Jabba was killed. So it fits because we're in that time frame. Jabba's dead, so it could very well be him. But on the same note, okay, so there's some things I don't like about that.
Go on. I want to hear. Tell me about it.
So they said that the Jawas got his armor out of the Scarlac. Is that how you say the creature that ate? Yes, that ate Boba Fett. Okay, so
How? I mean,
how? Yeah,
how?
like they're not dropping Jawas down into the middle on
Yeah,
a rope
it's
to
like
grab
yeah,
something.
they got a rope. They got one Jawa, and they're just carefully lowering him down.
They rock paper scissors, and the guy who lost went down. So yeah, so the rumors are that the Jawas scavenged it out of the Scarlac, and I'm like, really? No, I don't like
They're gonna
that
have to
theory.
really sell me on that.
Yes.
They're really gonna have to show me how that happened because listen,
Um,
I've seen Jawas scavenge, and if Kyle, our boy Kyle, could get his parts back from them that easily, just by like I don't know, I just think the Sarlacc
giving
could
him
give
an
him.
egg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the
The
Sarlacc could
Scarlac.
give him a little issue.
Yeah, I mean, unless they drive the sandcrawler over the top of it, drop a cable down, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I want to see the Jawas getting it out. I don't want to just see him wearing the armor and hearing that the Jawas took it,
Yeah, but
and that's
it
how
would
he had
also
it.
supremely bum me out if like we didn't get to see Boba. But I thought I had heard that our boy uh, from the Clone Wars who played Django was cast as Boba.
Timor Morrison,
Was he?
Tamora. So that's the other rumor now.
Okay.
Boba Fett is being casted played by Tamora Morrison, uh, as Boba Fett. But then Timothy Oliphant is wearing Boba Fett's armor.
Interesting.
So are they going to tie all that together that maybe Boba Fett does escape? He throws off his armor because it's covered in acid and whatever, and then he just, hides
Oh, I didn't
somewhere.
think about that. You like all these Sarlacc pit stomach acid and stuff. You think
Hmm.
we're gonna see it all like? I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Are we assuming that Boba Fett's armor was Beskar though? Because you're thinking back to Django and Boba. I mean, you see all sort. I mean, I've got Boba Fett's helmet right here, right?
Right.
It's got score marks right here. I mean, I doubt a
Uh-huh.
Beskar helmet. I mean, if you're not watching this live on YouTube, you're really missing out. So if you're listening to us right now on Spotify or on Apple or anything like that, go check out our YouTube channel so you can see my live demonstration with my Boba Fett
The
helmet. So
helmet
yeah,
with a dent in it. And if you
this
don't know,
definitely wouldn't happen in Beskar.
right, if you don't know, Boba Fett's helmet has a dent in it, which is what Nick is pointing to, which
Yes.
I think everybody knows about that. But yes, so is it not Beskar, which is what the rumor was, that it wasn't Beskar. Just like in the beginning of The Mandalorian, he was wearing Mandalorian armor, but it also was not Beskar
Yeah, it looked like his
until,
helmet was Beskar, but that looked like
yeah,
the only part of it that was at the beginning, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So so in the book trilogy that I read about Boba Fett escaping the Scarlac pit, I'm waiting for, yes, I'm waiting for that to fall down. There we go.
yeah,
Good job.
it's gonna fall. Don't worry.
um, he does manage to get out by detonating his jetpack, or the bomb in his jetpack, and he blows up the creature and
Why
escapes.
hasn't
But
anyone
then
thought of that for all
I
this
know,
time? No one's thought of just blowing the Sarlacc up.
just blowing it up, just destroying it.
Why not?
So that's how he gets out, but all of his armor's ruined, and he's completely like acid, like his skin's burnt off. And for the first of the three books, like halfway through the first book, there's a person who's helping him heal and spends a lot of time of him healing because he's so close to death.
Interesting.
So if that's the case, I could see how the Jawas could scavenge his armor because he just like ripped it off
You
and
think maybe we're
whatever.
gonna see our boy Kyle team up with our boy Boba to try and get some of his Mandalorian armor back? Because I guess
Um,
maybe let's think about like Boba, because Boba Fett would have been famous by this point, whether or not he's alive or not. People know about
right.
Boba Fett.
Yes,
So
because
I'm
people
wondering,
knew. Yeah.
as a Mandalorian, what
Hmm.
Kyle would think about Boba Fett and his reputation.
Right. Like,
And for
is
those of you who
he?
don't know who we're talking about when I say the word Kyle, listen to our old shows. I can't do
Yeah.
all this work for you guys. Come on. I can't spoon feed it to you. Let's go here.
So I could see, because like you think like Boba would be, kind of like a general type, like high ranking Mandalorian type of character. Not that they have rank in that aspect, but
Yeah,
somebody
it's
that you
so
would look
weird
up to.
because they, yeah, maybe, but like they never really, because there's a lot of Mandalorian stuff in the Clone Wars. There's a lot of
Right.
Mandalorian stuff in like all the stuff they don't, but they never really conclusively tied Boba into that. Boba was always, I mean, he was a kid during the Clone Wars series, but they always kind of lumped him in with the bounty hunters and stuff like that. But they didn't really ever connect him with like Mandalorian politics or anything.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what, how they're going to tie him into. I mean, they can tie him into it very easily, but I'm wondering if they're going to use the fact that obviously
Well,
his dad's Mandalorian.
they could tie him in, not so much Mandalorian wise, but more bounty hunter wise. Him joining the guild,
Sure.
meeting up with Carl Weathers, something like that, and getting into the guild, and then maybe him and Kyle have to go on a mission together for something. Who knows?
But that also
Um,
brings up, do you think we're going to see like that sort of, is it going to be like, all right, Boba and Kyle team up and they do
I
things
hope
together?
not.
Or is, yeah, right. Or is it just going to be like a passing sort of, there's Boba Fett and now he's gone.
I hope
Where's
that's what it
Ahsoka?
is.
Is it going to be like,
Yeah,
oh, look, it's Ahsoka, and then they're gone?
because there's more people who are named supposedly in season two,
Yeah.
and I really like that season one stood alone. I don't think we need the fan favorite stuff of
Sure.
bringing in all these people and having all these other people being such a vital part of the storytelling.
I agree. I agree. I think
Um,
there's something to be said for bringing some of that in there. And I think we've talked about this before too. Is that yeah, Star Wars is a big universe. We should have
mhm.
more unique viewpoints, but it is also, you know, it is fan service is part of it, right? So when we get those
Right,
check-ins where it's like, oh, I know that guy, or oh, that's really, so it is cool as an audience member
right.
to feel
I'm
that sort
okay.
of knitting of different things. I feel like, but
I'm okay with some weaving back and forth and some, hey, here's Boba Fett, or hey, here's Bo Katan because she had the dark saber
right,
that Moff Gideon now has. I like that.
yeah.
I don't want to see
Them
like a
become the main
GI Joe
characters and
army force of all these people that we know. Yeah,
yeah, sure. You don't want like the last season to all of a sudden we have Kyle teaming up with Boba and Bo-Katan and Luke Skywalker and
right. Like
the
yeah,
guy the Jedi Infinity Wars going on or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't want that at all.
I get
So
that. I get that for sure. So we have Timothy Oliphant. We have Rosario Dawson. Any
yes.
other casting news or anything for Mandalorian?
Well, Tamora Morrison is Boba Fett as
Right,
well. So we
tomorrow,
got those
sure.
three.
Yeah.
And then here's another one that's rumored. Um, I haven't seen anything on IMDb yet to make it official, but Sabine Wren is supposedly going to be in it as well,
Okay.
played by Sasha Banks, who was
Okay.
a WWE wrestler.
Okay, I gotta look this up. Hold on.
Yeah, so look her up. There's a picture out
Sasha
there.
Banks
Sasha Banks. Yes.
as Sabine Wren. Oh, I mean,
Yes.
look at that purple hair.
Right.
I mean, that's perfect right off the bat.
hmm
Oh, I could see her as a grown-up Sabine.
Yeah.
Very grown
Yeah.
up. Much different than Rebels, but yes. All right.
Yeah.
So it looks like there. I mean, and I've gotten pretty much deeper into Rebels over the last. I've been like I've got a two monitors set up, so I'm like over here I'll have like grades, grading people, grading things. And over here is like Star Wars Rebels. And I actually went in and cleaned up my classroom the other day. I had Rebels just kind of blasting on the big
Nice.
screen.
Good deal. Good deal.
But so yeah, I mean Rebels. If you again, I tell people all the time who are like who tell me that they really like Star Wars. If you have not gotten into Clone Wars, you need to because it's great.
hmm
Same thing with Rebels, man. Every episode, I think Rebels is better done than Clone
I
Wars
think
because
Rebels.
Clone
Yeah.
Wars or Rebels is more consistently good. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
most of the episodes really seem to count. I felt like
Yes.
with Clone Wars, it was a lot of volume of content, and a lot of it
Right.
was really good, but some wasn't. But I mean, Clone Wars. I
And
mean, if you're really into the Jedi lore and you're really into like just really knowing about what's going on in the Force, because a lot of people really like the Star Wars that has nothing to do with the Force. Like you get Rogue
right.
One and you get little glimpses of it with I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. But a lot of people's big thing with the Rogue One was like, oh, it was great. It wasn't a Jedi movie. It was just a Star Wars movie. Me,
Right.
I like that. but I love the Force. Like I'm waiting for the movie where it's just Jedi versus Sith the entire time.
Sure.
So I don't know. To each their own with that,
Yeah.
but I feel like Rebels, like if you're into the Jedi, you're into the Force, and you're into like the mystical sort of aspect of it, Rebels is really where it gets in its stride. With all this talk
Yes.
of like the world beyond worlds, and
Hmm.
what's that race of like moose people, or like isn't there like a race of like they're almost like
Oh,
Tauren from World of Warcraft?
the giant,
They're like
they
cows.
were, yeah, but they were huge,
Yeah,
and they were like a very spiritual, very one with
yeah.
the Force. Yeah. And they were the ones holding the crystal for a while for them.
The Bendu.
The
That's right.
Bendu.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, get into Rebels.
Yes.
Get into Clone Wars. I still, after Rebels, I have to get into Resistance. How's Resistance?
Resistance was good.
I haven't heard as good stuff on Resistance as I have on Rebels.
It
From
wasn't
what
as
I've
good as
seen, it
Rebels.
was a little more Saturday morning cartoony than Rebels was.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely a more playful version of the Star Wars show, like
Yeah,
more, like you said, Saturday morning, more kids geared, where Rebels had some really deep storytelling in it.
yeah.
This one is it's more entertaining.
Resistance has my boy Donald Faison in it from Scrubs, Dr. Turk Turkleton from Scrubs. Any Scrubs
Okay,
fans out there? I don't know. I'm a big Scrubs fan.
there you go.
So any more Star Wars news for the week?
The only other Star Wars news for the week that I have is,
Rob hasn't
oh,
found his glasses, so he's not really
I
sure.
know, I don't know where they are, on our website, um, banthamilkpodcast.com. There is a survey up there for you to pick our new logo. I have
Yeah,
5 different drawings of our logo that,
Rob apparently, as a public school teacher who is, trying to figure out how to completely alter his curriculum to teach online, he's decided he wants more work. And
right.
so he's decided, I'm just going to design a logo while I'm at it. Why not?
That's it.
And
And
it
why
looks
not?
great. They all look great. The colors,
Thank you.
the simplicity. I really like them all. A lot of people have a lot of different views as to which one they really like. I was a big fan of the really simple one. There's one
Okay.
that's like just like the Tatooine homestead with the 2 suns. I thought like that was like the coolest simple design. It was like, man, I can see that as like a simplistic tattoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh
I
huh.
do like he's got a couple versions. One's got the Bantha in it. One's got Kyle walking around. He's got a couple versions with each. So go and check that out and tell us which one you like the best, right? Because they're all really cool, but we want to see what y'all like. So, you know,
Yes.
democracy and
So
all that. My
democracy, yes,
allegiance is
voting.
to the republic, to democracy, right? Sorry, we had to go with quotes with this week's theme. We are going to get into
Yes.
some bad Star Wars quotes later because we love Star Wars.
Oh, we
Star
sure
Wars has
do.
some great stuff about it, but it also
Um,
has some real terror in it. So we'll
some
get into
real
that.
real bad stuff in it as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Real fast, we did touch just a little bit, but I wanted to go back to it about Disney Gallery, the Mandalorian Explained. If you haven't checked it out yet on Disney Plus, definitely check it out. Episodes 1 and 2 were cool because it was like the producer sitting around. It was Nick drinking some more bourbon.
Yeah, he poured
Uh,
himself a second glass for those of you who can't see from home.
yeah, you
Cheers.
could probably hear it though. I could
Yeah,
hear it.
that's
It was
right.
pretty cool. In episodes 3 and 4, they did have a couple of little fun facts. In episode 3, they were talking about a character that was supposed to be written off after the 3rd episode of The Mandalorian, but because he was doing such a great job, they kept him on for the whole time. And that was Carl Weathers.
Oh yeah.
Our good boy Carl Weathers apparently was not supposed to last the entire season, but
I
they,
always wonder how they managed to make that happen. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
yeah,
So Jesse Pinkman is like the second main character on Breaking Bad, and the
yes,
guy who plays him, who is it? Aaron Paul? Is that his name?
Aaron Paul, yeah. Hmm.
He's outstanding. Like this role made this dude's career.
Oh, 100%.
But apparently his character was only supposed to have like 3 or 4 episodes of a loop in Breaking Bad before they killed him off, and he was doing such a good job they just kept writing for him, and he
They kept
wound up
writing for him.
being not only one of the main characters, but if you've seen El Camino, they wrote a spin-off movie for him. So
Yeah,
I always wonder like how do they get to like episode 4 of shooting and they go, oh, by the way, you're doing a super job, we're not going to kill
yeah.
you. Just like,
Well,
all
I
right,
think,
you passed
I,
the second audition. You can
yeah,
stay on.
exactly. So, do you have anything planned for the next, say, 5 years? Because we only wanted you in here for 3 episodes, but we like you so much that we're going to make you a permanent fixture.
I guess for
So,
a guy like Carl Weathers though, that's gotta be nice because I can't imagine he's got a whole lot of work going on right now.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I think he's just living off of his name.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
being in Rocky and Chubbs, whatever his name was,
Chubbs
in
Peterson.
Happy Gilmore, Chubbs
Oh yeah.
Peterson, Happy Gilmore. Yeah. So I'm sure at this point he's living off of his name. So he could get work, because he's Carl Weathers. So I'm sure he could get work. Um, but if they wrote him off, we wouldn't have got this. Do the hand thing,
Right.
baby. We would have never got that.
Speaking of terrible Star Wars quotes, that's a great Star Wars quote. That will not be on our list today. Oh boy.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that is great.
And then in episode 4, they talk about the volume. Did you watch episode 4 at
I haven't
all?
watched episode 4 yet.
Oh my gosh. So episode 4, they talk about their state of the art green screen set, which is not a green screen anymore. It's thousands of digital TVs all wrapped around this giant room and a ceiling full of digital TVs as well. And they run the Unreal gaming system behind them
Really?
for all the sets. So as they're moving the camera, the scenery behind them is moving, the scenery above them is moving. They talk about how because of this, they now have proper shadows on people. They talked about uh, before this, nobody used reflective materials like the Mandalorian's armor is all basically all mirrored.
Right.
Because if you were standing in front of a green screen, you had different shades of green on the armor. So they would have to get out each shade of green, put in a different shadow color on top of it, and do all this stuff. But now with this TV system that they have, it's not reflecting green anymore. It's reflecting the actual surroundings that he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's
And
amazing. Yeah.
I keep trying to decide when are we going to reach a critical mass. At one point is technology just going to get to the point where it's like, all right, we can't go anymore. And every
I
year it's
know,
like,
right?
oh, I guess not.
Yeah.
And when I see the stuff that's out there, and you realize there's probably stuff even crazier that's not available to us yet
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's like top like military grade. Like I don't know. I'm just even I'm I think Lucasfilm in like as a company itself is single-handedly responsible for pushing the music or the music the movie industry well beyond its time. All the time
Oh, 100%.
since the
Oh,
70s. I
yeah.
mean, they were revolutionary when they came out, but
Yeah.
what they're doing now,
George Lucas was always 10 years ahead of what he could actually do.
sure,
Like he had that vision and he was pushing. And with his, what is it, THX?
THX, yeah.
Yeah, like with those people and like he just keeps pushing them further and harder and harder and harder.
But that's the other thing that I'm loving about Dave Filoni too. In this documentary that they're doing, essentially about the making of Mandalorian, they're really pushing the fact that for whatever reason, Dave Filoni has the ability to just kind of intuit what George would want. And I
Yeah,
feel like the best possible version of Star Wars is someone who can intuit what George would want without all of the other weird stuff that George has going on.
right,
Because
exactly.
I'm sure everyone who's listening to this has heard the stories about, oh, we hear that George Lucas hates the new Star Wars. Oh, all this stuff about, oh, George would have done this and would have done that. I hate to tell you, you would not have liked the Star Wars George put out for
Yeah,
like 7,
exactly.
8,
Yeah.
9.
Uh-huh.
He would have gotten really weird, and that's fine because that's his vision. But he was really in like the biggest thing that a lot of some of the fanboys out there hate about the prequel trilogy is the midichlorians. And I hate to break it to you, that was one of his biggest. He loved that.
He
He
loved
really
it.
got
Yeah.
down for that. So like, I don't know that the creator's original intent means much beyond good storytelling. I don't know where one comes beyond the other, but I think we have a really good balance with Dave Filoni in that we have someone who's a great storyteller and also has an inkling as to what the original creator's intent might have been. So he can
Yeah.
do that while tempering the crazy side of what George Lucas
Mm-hmm.
did.
And they showed a lot. George Lucas was, I don't know if he was on the set a lot or if he just came for one day or whatever, but they had George Lucas on the set and he basically like walked in and was like, this is what I wanted in 77. Like this is what I wanted 40 years ago. Like now you guys can finally do it. And they talked about the volume and how other movies and other platforms have played around with it a little bit, but nobody like really committed to it because they were afraid of what happens if it doesn't work. Then we have to go backwards. But with the Mandalorian, they said, nope, we're using this. We're going to do it no matter what happens. We're in, and they jumped into the deep end of the pool, head first. They were like, we're in, and it's amazing looking at it. Like I like watching. I always like watching, over the person's shoulder, seeing what's going on in the background,
Sure.
and
Oh yeah.
so when they're showing these behind the scenes other camera angles of the volume and stuff like that, like you can see, um you're like, oh my gosh, that was not a real scene, that was filmed inside the studio. So then you're trying to figure out, okay, which scene was filmed on location, which scene was filmed in this studio, and then even then you're looking, trying to figure out which part of this is real and which part of this is the screen behind them, because they had to have, real props in front of the screen so that the actors and stuff had something to work off of. But then you really can't tell how deep into the scene it goes before the TV start. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to check out episode 4 of that, because
Oh yeah.
it's, if you're into the technical behind the scenes, this is the first one that's huge behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yep. And it's just I mean, it's just good to see people who are not necessarily just doing it because they got a job offer. The
Yeah,
whole big thing behind, if you're a big Game of Thrones fan, which aside from Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and A Song of Ice and Fire is probably my biggest fandom as so far as nerdiness goes. I'm huge into it. I read the books constantly. I always have the audiobooks going. My next tattoo plan is A Song of Ice and Fire based. I really love it. Um, I forgot where I was going with this. That happens a lot. I go on
I
tangents.
start I start a
I
sentence and
start
I
talking.
sometimes
What is it? Michael Scott. He goes, it's an improvisation, right? Improv conversation. Anyway, A Song of Ice and Fire. What was I going? What were you talking about?
you're talking about how into the people who
It's
weren't
this right
there
here.
for just the paycheck,
Yeah.
because the last season of Game of Thrones, it was almost like they were just there for the
Yeah. So
paycheck.
D&D. That thank you. That helps me out. So D&D. If you ever hear D&D means David Benioff and DB Weiss, right? D&D are the creators or the showrunners of Game of Thrones. Um, it became abundantly clear that they did not, and they did like kind of some they've been very very quiet post Game of Thrones. They really did, like it is so amazing the pervasiveness Game of Thrones had on the culture of America. It was huge, and then all of a sudden the last season was so bad that no one's talking about it. We're in a quarantine. Have you heard about anyone rewatching Game of Thrones during this quarantine?
Tom
None.
actually started watching
I
it, but
did
not
see that,
rewatching it.
but he didn't
Yes.
rewatch it,
No, he
right?
didn't
Because I
rewatch it.
understand someone watching it for the first time, but I don't know of anyone who's rewatching it during this quarantine. And so D&D, David Benioff and DB Weiss were on track to have their own Star Wars franchise, not just one movie, a
Correct.
3 arc movie.
Oh
Um,
yeah, a whole trilogy. They
yeah,
they had it all
and
set up for them.
they got it yanked away from them because of the backlash from Game of Thrones. Because it was
Yes.
clearer and clearer as things went on that they took on Game of Thrones without any regard for the fandom. Like they made
Right.
decision, and like fandoms are very protective of the source material. If you're a Star Wars
Oh,
fan, you
just
know
look
this.
at Star Wars.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you.
like Star Wars
They
fans get
hate
angry like
everything. Yeah,
everything. And so
everything.
they really, I mean, when they were making Game of Thrones and they were using the source material, seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5, like it was insane. You were using George R. R. Martin's material and it was great. And then all of a sudden
Yeah,
things went bad, right? And so
yeah.
a lot of people theorize that it was because D&D like saw the beyond Game of Thrones. They were looking beyond it to their Star Wars
Uh
franchise,
huh.
going, "We're about to make our millions." And
Yeah,
it's just so interesting that they don't have
and
that
even
franchise anymore.
even
They took
like,
it away.
yeah, like HBO offered them, 10, 12, however
Two
many
more
episodes you
seasons,
want.
two more
Yeah,
seasons of at least 10 or 12 episodes. They said, "Nah, we got this."
we can wrap it all up in 8, and
Spoiler alert, they could not.
they could not. It was too much, too fast, and it was
And
too
it
messy.
just makes me it almost makes me happy. And again, I love Game of Thrones. I love A Song of Ice and Fire, but if 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 Game of Thrones had to go through what it went through in order to save Star Wars from those creative minds. Because remember,
Sure, yeah.
those same creative minds also gave us Wolverine's or X-Men Origins with Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds, the very first one.
Yes.
The one
That
that
he
even
was
Ryan Reynolds in his new Deadpool movies lampoons how bad they are.
yes, he totally made fun of himself in
Oh
the
yeah.
original one there. Yeah, the original one was awful.
I'm just so
So it was
very
great that
glad we
yeah,
avoided that. That could have been
yeah,
terrible. Oh
yeah.
boy. Anyway, man,
Um
look at my hair.
it
Anyone
is
else out
long.
there need a haircut?
I shaved up the back
Oh,
just
you've
so
been
that it
buzzing it
looks
up.
present. Yeah, I've been buzzing it up. But
You
my
got the
my
quarantine beard
family says
going.
I do have the quarantine beard going. Back to Star Wars though. Uh, our good friend Wedge Antilles,
That's
you
his
know
name.
this guy.
I've
Yep.
heard him.
Uh, he's played by a guy named Dennis Lawson.
Okay,
Two fun facts about Dennis Lawson.
let's hear him.
One, in episode 4, his name is misspelled in the credits.
Okay.
They spelled it with two N's instead of one. His name only has one N, but they spelled it with two N's. And he is Ewan McGregor's uncle. So
That's right.
Ewan McGregor is the young Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he's his uncle. So that's pretty funny.
Hey, my dad just Facebook messaged me. Apparently, my dad. So my dad just got into the Mandalorian. By the way, I'm very excited about it. He says my audio is muffled. Not me, just me, not my partner. How's my audio, Rob? How does that sound over there?
Uh, Through this, you sound okay, but
Great,
it could be muffled on the YouTube
great.
over
If you're
there.
watching me on YouTube and you can't hear me, just know that it doesn't matter. Usually, most of the things that I say aren't all that important to the general progression of what we're doing here. Um,
So if that's the case, if you're watching on YouTube and you're frustrated that Nick's audio is muffled, in a couple days from now, go ahead and download us on the podcast, and then you can
you can
listen to
catch
Nick
us on
nice and clear.
Spotify. You can catch us
Spotify,
on Google
Apple Music,
Apple
Google
Music,
Play,
Google, yeah, that's right. All over the place. On Stitcher, man, we're everywhere.
Stitcher, yeah,
Um,
Anchor. You can go directly to Anchor's website.
that's right. So we are going to move on now. We do have a brand new series that we're going to start this week. It's a weekly, maybe not, maybe weekly, maybe episodely. I don't know. Every episode we're going to try and get to this new first ever brand new series we have. It's called Jedi of the Week. I don't know if Rob has the audio queued up.
I do. Yeah, I have to lose you in the video for a second to
This is
go to the audio.
this
Uh,
is high quality production we're doing
High
here.
quality stuff. So here we
Let me
go.
know when it happens.
You missed it. You talked over it. Don't talk.
Try it again.
There it was. Jedi of the Week. It's
Oh
like a
boy.
digital Jedi of the Week.
Well, if you're watching
We
us on
did all
YouTube,
of
you
that.
did not hear us. But if you're
You
watching
didn't
us
hear it on
elsewhere,
YouTube.
you're going to catch our Jedi of the Week. And I think it's only fitting that our first ever Jedi. So we're going to talk about different Jedi throughout the history of Star Wars. It might be canonical, since Disney kind of bought things out, things have kind of changed. We could talk about some previous canons, some legends, some Disney stuff. But we're going to talk about one that is currently canon. It is a Jedi who technically exists within the Disney universe. And it's pretty topical because we are Banthamilk podcast, but we are a Mandalorian podcast. So why not start
Correct.
with the very first Jedi who was a Mandalorian? Because if you don't know who, kind of the history here, the Mandalorian and the Jedi have a checkered past, right? They fought each other a lot. If you played Knights of the Old Republic, probably the best Star Wars video game of all time. I think it was released 10 years ago. It's a pretty old game at this point, but they talk a lot about the old battles between Jedi and the Mandalorian. So the very first Jedi who was admitted as a Mandalorian into the Jedi Order was a guy named Tar Vizsla, right? So he is the very guy who created the dark saber, right? And this dark saber is something that has come up quite a bit. We saw the dark saber in Clone Wars. We saw the dark saber in Rebels. We saw the dark saber most recently in The
In The
Mandalorian. The very
Mandalorian.
last episode, we know that our boy Moff Gideon somehow has this dark saber, right? So, if you didn't know, early lightsabers. Now, I don't know how much of this is considered canon anymore because a lot of stuff was kind of thrown up in the air. But in the original kind of canon of Star Wars, the original lightsabers were not just handheld things. They were actually sabers that were connected to like a power pack that you held on your back.
Oh wow, did not
Yeah,
know that.
and so they would carry this like essentially a battery pack on their back, and it would be connected to their saber, and that would power this lightsaber. And so these were some of these ancient Jedi lightsabers with these ones with this power pack. So the dark saber was a unique lightsaber. It wasn't necessarily like more powerful. It wasn't necessarily like anything else in except that it was unique. It was created by Tar Vizsla. It was wielded by Tar Vizsla, and it was used by the very first Mandalorian Jedi. It was an early design, maybe not the precursor to the lightsabers we have, but it was a unique one. After Tar Vizsla died, it was kept at the Jedi Temple. Right, we had this really great, dark, nasty-looking lightsaber. That for whatever reason, when you see it in media, it emits light. It's like a dark lightsaber that emits light. I don't know. But it was kept at the Jedi Temple until it was taken. It was taken by House Vizsla. Now, in Star Wars, there's lots of. It's almost like Game of Thrones. You have House Stark, you have House Lannister, you have House Tully, Tyrell. It's a lot of the same things happen in caste systems within Star Wars. We have Alderaan has a very distinct house system. House Organa is like the biggest house on Alderaan. House Vizsla is like a big house for Mandalore, right? We've met a lot of Vizslas, Tar Vizsla being one of them. We have Pre Vizsla as the head of Death Watch in Clone Wars. We also have a Vizsla in Mandalorian, right? In season 1 of the Mandalorian, we have the big beefy Mandalorian who like picks a fight with our boy Kyle in the Coven. He's a Vizsla. If you look at like the credits at the end, he's a Vizsla, and he's voiced by Dave or John Favreau. And so for whatever reason, House Vizsla is pretty prominently featured, and it was like used as like a sign of leadership and power by House Vizsla, this dark saber. And so we don't really know the progression. We do know that a lot of people have owned it. We have Tar Vizsla, Pre Vizsla, Maul, who is no longer Darth Maul, right? Maul owned the dark saber. Kanan Jarrus had the dark saber briefly before Sabine and Bo-Katan, and somewhere between Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon, something happened. We don't know.
Correct.
But something happened, and I'm assuming sometime in season 2 we're gonna find out exactly how Moff Gideon got his hands on the dark saber.
Especially since we have Bo-Katan supposedly being in season 2,
exactly.
so it should tie together somehow. Yes.
Yep. So I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I don't know if Gideon has any sort of Mandalorian ties himself, but this lightsaber is distinctly tied to the Mandalorians, distinctly tied to House Vizsla itself. So interesting to know or see what we might be getting from that. I don't know exactly where they're going to go from that. I don't know how deep they can get with that, because again, there's only a certain amount of depth you can get in these things, because there are people like me and Rob, and probably you, who like inhale this stuff, right? All right.
Yes.
The dark saber, we know we got a glimpse of it here, but we also saw it here because we're all nerds, right? But not everyone is like that, and Star Wars likes to treat their fans all equally. They like to make
sure, yeah,
that the people who are really invested and really know everything, like get stuff, but they also don't want to leave behind the people who don't consume from all forms of media. So I don't know how deep they're going to get into it, but I think it's pretty interesting to see. I think we're definitely going to get a little bit of like Jedi lore. I think we might get a little. I don't think they're going to show a famous lightsaber without giving us a little Jedi lore.
Correct.
So I'm just interested to see kind of what we're going to get from that. But that's our Jedi, our very first Jedi of the day.
Jedi of the week.
Of the week, right?
Of the week, yes.
Tar
Vizsla.
Jedi that you think should be nominated for Jedi of the week. There's loads of Jedi out there. It's so funny to think about the fact that we're talking about this random, fake, completely fictional world, that there are loads of deep history that there is there. But if you have a Jedi that you really love, that you think needs a little coverage, send us an email, banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know, hey, we want you to cover Revan. We want you to cover Malik. We want you to cover Kreia. Tell us someone. Any Jedi you can think of. Even if you want
any Jedi.
We'll do a Sith of the week. We'll do Gray Jedi. You want to talk to Jolie Bindo? We'll talk some Gray Jedi. I don't care. Send us some Jedi.
So, speaking of Gray Jedi and Force-sensitive people like, what's his name from the latest trilogy, who Finn may be Force-sensitive.
Has to be.
So the other rumors for season 2 are that our boy Kyle may find out that he is as well Force sensitive. So going along with Ahsoka coming in, teaching him about the Force to see if he is in fact Force sensitive or not, or so that's other rumors out there about season 2.
I'll tell you, anything that shows me that Ahsoka knows her stuff. I want to know more about Ahsoka and like what she's done. I want to.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to know about more about Ahsoka just because of the Clone Wars, man. If you are
Yeah. Oh,
someone who
most
is not
definitely.
watching Clone Wars, it has been 19 or so episodes now of me telling you to go watch Clone Wars. If
Go
you
watch
haven't
Clone
yet,
Wars.
it's
Yes.
your own fault. Go check it out, man.
Yep.
Definitely.
So there's our Jedi of the week. Moving
Jedi
on.
of the week. Anyway,
Jedi of the week.
that's right.
Moving on. I just, you know how Empire Strikes Back on Friday was the 40th, or Thursday was the 40th anniversary
Ooh,
of the release
40
of
years.
Empire. So with that,
It's older than me.
it is. It's not older than me though. Um, uh, we've seen since the very first Star Wars, and even the whole first trilogy, George Lucas has changed section after section, scene after scene of the movies. But did you know that the very first Empire Strikes Back change happened the day after it was released?
Oh, really? I had no
Yes,
idea. Why didn't you tell me about it?
I will tell you all about it. So it was released first on the large film screen. So it was only released on about 100 screens on the whatever the date that Thursday was.
Okay.
George Lucas watched it and decided at the very end it needed 3 more little cut scenes in there to help people better understand what's going on at the very end of the movie. So once Luke and Leia are back and Han Solo or Lando is leaving in the Millennium Falcon and all that stuff, there were 3 little action. There's your Falcon. There were 3 little, not even action shots, just like background shots, I guess, that were added so that you knew that the Falcon was first attached to the big ship.
Okay.
You knew that they were in the medical room, and then the medical room was, at the edge of the ship, and then
Isn't it
another
really interesting, by the way, that they're sitting staring out the window of the medical ship at just a giant galaxy? It's like they're
just
not
black,
in the
just yeah,
galaxy. They're just looking
yeah,
out, and there's just like a giant galaxy they're looking at. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very strange.
So that he started changing it the day after it first aired, and then we know that he can't stop changing it even
That's
to this
canon.
point.
As
Yeah,
far as George Lucas goes, that doesn't surprise me at all.
no. So I found that very funny.
Yeah.
I've been going back and rewatching Empire and Return of the Jedi, and I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Do you know what parkour is?
Oh, sure, of course. Parkour, parkour.
So parkour, yeah, from The Office. Um,
Internet craze of 2004.
it was 2007 when they were doing
Something like
it,
that.
which it made it even better that it was a they found something from the internet from 3 years
Oh
earlier
yeah,
and thought that was the coolest thing ever.
yeah.
I'm watching Luke Skywalker during his training with Yoda and all this stuff,
Oh
and
yeah,
all
totally.
he's doing is like gymnastic stuff. He's
Doing
just doing
flippies
doing
and
flips and bouncing off of trees and all this other nonsense. So is Luke Skywalker the original parkour champion? That's
maybe.
my question for you.
I mean, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
It was. So I think Luke Skywalker actually invented
I
parkour.
mean, Luke was really cut during episode 4, man, or episode 5.
Yes.
Like
5.
Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back, he was doing his training. He had like those beefy shoulders, and he was like
Hmm.
doing flips with Yoda on his back in his tank top and stuff. He had just gotten out of that car accident
And he got himself back into shape real fast.
real fast.
Real fast.
Very fast.
So today is May 25th.
It sure is.
It sure is. Today is the day that in 1983 Return of the Jedi was released. And
1983.
also 1983 Return of the
27
Jedi.
years ago.
And in 1977, A New Hope was released on the same day as well. So both of these movies were released
It was a
today.
big day in Star Wars history.
A great day in Star Wars history. So to ruin that great day in Star Wars history, instead of talking about how awesome those 2 movies are, why would we do that? I have a whole bunch of fun facts of mistakes, things that went wrong, and even some trivia there.
Tell
So
me some terrible stuff that happened in Star Wars.
so I can still, luckily for me, even though I have no idea where my glasses are, I can still read this. So this is a good thing.
Start printing you giant print.
I know, right? I need the large prints
If you're not watching
setting.
on YouTube, you're really missing out on what is happening with my hair.
On Nick's hair is
Because
definitely out of
it's maybe
control.
about 11 feet above my head.
It is.
This-
Like
this
he
whole
had to
thing
move the
is-
camera down.
is not doing well for what's going on above my head.
No,
Anyway, talk
not
to
at
me
all.
about the
Anyway,
terrible things.
so the first fun fact. This isn't terrible. This is just a fun fact. But the the shooting name for the movie now, like a lot of times they don't want to tell people they're
Sure,
filming
sure.
Batman Begins because then they'll have all kinds of fans there. So the shooting name for Return of the Jedi was called Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest. I think I
Blue
actually heard that
Harvest,
before.
and the
That's awesome.
tagline was "Horror Beyond Imagination." When and then this was also fun when filming some of the Endor scenes. Peter Mayhew, you know
Mm-hmm.
who he played. He played
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca.
Oh yeah.
Was told to stay close to the set so no one thought he was Bigfoot and tried to shoot him.
Oh no,
uh,
poor Peter. Yeah,
yeah, I thought
Peter
that was
Mayhew used to be a regular. If you're on Reddit, Peter Mayhew used to be a regular contributor on Reddit, and he used to like pop in on different threads that would talk about Star Wars, and literally he'd just be like, "Hey, hope you're doing great. Cheers, Peter Mayhew." He was like just a beautiful soul.
that's
It,
awesome.
he was just a wonderful human being. It is really sad that he's not around with us
Yeah,
anymore. But anytime I see Chewbacca on screen, I think about what a lovely soul Peter Mayhew must have been.
that's awesome.
Just
Yeah.
a big
So I
gentle
mean,
giant.
just a big gentle giant.
Yeah.
Him and Darth Vader. Who
Oh,
played Darth
David
Vader?
Prowse.
Yes. So they both came in, and at one point they said, um, the directors or George Lucas or whatever said to them, "Look, you guys are going to be either Chewbacca or Vader. Pick which one you want to be."
Okay.
And Peter Mayhew said that he wanted to be a good guy, so he picked Chewbacca. And the other guy said, "I want to be a bad guy," so then he was Darth Vader. So that's how they got their roles.
Well, the
Um,
interesting
and
thing about David Prowse too, apparently, is that he didn't know that they were going to dub his voice, and I don't think
no,
they really knew either until
no,
they like recorded him and they went, "Well, this doesn't sound good."
yeah, and he said all the lines in the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah, you can
and
still
then
see some cuts like on there's a great documentary on the making of Star Wars that's called Empire of Dreams. You have to go check it out.
mhm,
And you will see some scenes where he's like doing like the very first scene with Darth Vader where he comes in and chokes the guy with it. It's like, man, this is lame. This could not like James Earl Jones is necessary. He is Darth
yeah,
Vader. It would have just
yeah,
been
his
too much.
voice was not the same as James Earl Jones.
No.
On a side note with them, I have it written in here somewhere. I'll find it again. Oh wait, whatever. But they never James Earl Jones and they
David
got
Prowse.
what's it David Prowse never met each other.
That makes sense.
Like while filming, they never met each other because, like you said, they didn't even know that they were going to dub over his voice until later. This is a 2 episode continuity issue.
Okay.
It starts in Empire Strikes Back and ends in Return of the Jedi. When Han is put into carbonite, his upper arms are strapped down to his body as well as like his handcuffs.
Yeah.
They take his handcuffs off, but they never unstrap them. And then
Interesting.
in Return of the Jedi, when he comes out of the carbonite, his arms are free.
Yeah.
And another side note to that was his hair is shorter when he comes out than when he goes in.
Well, apparently from what I understand, that might be just an effect of the unfreezing process. You know.
Sure, it kills some of the hair
Yeah.
cells. So what you should, and
I
me
need
too,
to
my hair's
I
a
need to
mess
freeze
as well.
myself in carbonite.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely
your
need
hair
to
will
do that.
come out shorter when you come
I
out.
already I have a appointment book. I have a barber. It's a great barber, Revolution Barber Company in Somerville, New Jersey. They're great. There's your plug, Revolution Barber
There you
Company.
go.
Anyway, they're a really great barber shop, and it's a real bummer that like a lot of small businesses aren't able to open right now. I have a appointment booked for June 10th. I don't know if I'm going to be able to
You're
book
gonna be able to
more. I
get
don't know
in
if
or
kids
not.
are legal at that point, but I have something. I usually get a haircut every 3 weeks. It has been, how long have we been in lockdown?
We've been like it's been like 60 or 70 days at this point now. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
This is the longest my hair, this is not exaggeration. Maybe the longest
Yeah.
my hair has been in 25, 30 years.
It is
Just
long. That
because
is
of
for
the,
sure.
oh yeah.
There's a lot of audio continuity errors. Leia, Princess Leia, when she's talking to Wicket, words come out of her mouth, but her mouth doesn't move. Leia says to Han, "Let's go, General Solo," but her mouth says, "Let's go, Captain Solo."
Wow. Well, that
Luke,
always reminds me of, do you ever watch Galaxy Quest?
yeah,
Galaxy Quest, if you're watching this or listening to this podcast, you probably watched Galaxy Quest because it's totally up all these nerds' alleys. I love Galaxy Quest. There's actually a Amazon Prime documentary on Galaxy Quest, so you go check it out. But there's a very distinct line in Galaxy Quest where, what's the woman's name? the one who speaks to the computer. She's a very famous actress. Sigourney Weaver, is that who it was?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So she's her whole job in the entire movie is just literal. She's the only one who can talk to the computer. And at one point, they're trying to keep this like I think they were trying to keep it a PG or PG-13 movie, and she very clearly drops the F bomb. Like,
Okay.
and you can see it. She goes, "Oh, blank that." Like, if you're
Uh,
watching, you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
she
you see,
definitely
yeah,
said that."
she definitely
But
said
they
it.
dub over, "Oh, screw that," and you're like, "There's not a chance. No
That is
way
not
that
what
was
she
said."
said. She did not say that. So
Nope.
on the same line is that Luke, when he's on the speeder bike with Leia, he tells her to take that one. I'll take the other two, but his mouth never moves. So there's a lot of these things where like they go back and they redub the voices over, and there's no talking or like cutting of the film to get it to look the way they want it to. They just go, oh, we'll throw the audio over top of that.
Another interesting one at the end of that movie when Luke and Vader are fighting. At one point, Luke chops off Vader's hand. That hand isn't actually his real hand. It's a fake hand
Okay.
that they chopped off.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't really chop his hand off. It's a real bummer.
That's a shame. I thought for sure that his hand would have really got chopped off. That's
It's a,
weird. That's
it's
strange.
movie magic.
Maybe,
Sometimes
yeah, that is
sometimes you
movie
don't want to
magic.
see the man behind the curtain.
I know. Uh, Darth
I'm
Vader's
I'm, I'm
mask.
finishing up my second glass here, so
You go nuts. Darth Vader's mask goes from dusty to clean in scenes when he's trying to turn Luke into for the Emperor, like when they're all in the Emperor's room.
you know the symbolism behind his garb in episode 3 or episode 6 as well, right? The
No,
dark
go ahead.
black. So
Okay,
so we see Luke the entire movie in all black, right? And
correct.
so we've never really seen a Jedi in all black. I mean, no, I
No.
know at that point we've never really seen many Jedi, but apparently the intent behind that was this fighting with this darkness that Luke had inside of him. And you notice
Okay.
at the end of the movie, once Luke has prevailed against the Emperor and cast aside his anger and said, "You've lost," the black tunic he has kind of comes out, and he's got this flap that pulls out over that shows a lighter side, right?
Oh,
And so
very
you see
interesting.
that he has shown his lighter side and he's turned away from the dark.
Very
Um,
cool.
now, I mean, I have heard many places that was intentional. Whether or not I can't imagine at the end of the movie they would just said, "All right, we're gonna peel down the top of his cloak just to make him look
Yeah,
sexy now."
just
I
to
don't think
make
that's how
yeah.
that works.
No, I like it. And knowing George Lucas, I'm sure was definitely intentional to do that
Yeah.
as well,
Hmm.
because it's always been fighting good versus evil, dark versus light. So yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Talking about Luke when he's on the sand barge, um, when they're over top of the pit, he kicks a pirate twice, kind of.
Not really.
Um, Not really. When Boba Fett is attacking him, you see in the background he kicks this one guy, and he's about 2 or 3 feet away from him.
Yeah, there's a couple spots in that fight scene where you can very clearly see, like, no, not even
And then
close.
not even close. And then the second time he kicks him again, and that's when the guy falls backwards. His gun
Goes
falls
flying
out of his
away.
hand, and he falls down into the pit. And he clearly missed him twice.
Yep. Yep.
So he must have just used a force kick, I
Yep.
guess, is what how you can
That's it.
explain
That's
it.
right. He used
That's got to be a
it
force kick.
extended his foot.
It
Um,
extended his foot out. Yeah,
and the other big thing about that scene is the color of his lightsaber, right? Like we had not seen a green lightsaber until we see this.
correct.
Now, if you like delve into the lore, the green lightsaber is supposed to represent Jedi consulars, and Jedi consulars are supposed to be the more mystical of the Jedi who concentrate more on their Jedi powers more than lightsaber combat. But really, the big thing was in 1980 whatever when it came out,
'83.
a blue lightsaber did not look good against the sands of Tatooine. It blended in too much. They couldn't see it well, and so they turned the lightsaber green in order to see it better.
To be able to see it better, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
So and then I love how they make a story out of it. Okay, we can't say this. We got to make something better out of it. So
And they
this is
literally just took a technical glitch they had in the movie and turned it
uh-huh.
into a huge lore point, which is just what
Yeah,
Star Wars is best at.
yeah.
Yep.
Also on that scene, when Luke jumps from the one skiff to the other, his lightsaber is shorter than it should be. It's the 1/3 scale prop lightsaber, and it's not lit up. They forgot to go over and color it in. Yeah. A lot
Sloppy.
of a lot of sloppy, a lot of shots flipped. You know, I don't know why they do it in movies all the time, but they always flip the image. They don't like the way you look right-handed, so they'll flip it around to make you left-handed or whatever. Boba Fett's antenna on his helmet switches sides in Cloud City, and Lando's outfit switches sides. Yep, that thing right there. So one scene, one scene it's on the right side of his helmet, the other time it's on his left side of his helmet, and back and forth again. And Lando has like a holster or like a sash or something like that, and it's going one way in one scene. The very next scene, it's going the other way, and then it goes back to the other way again. So they love flipping it back and forth. Lucasfilm. This, like, I love Star Wars people, because you know how they watch these movies so intently, trying to find all the mistakes in it. It's ridiculous. Princess Leia apparently has a mole on her back, and that too switches sides when Chewie pulls her closer on the skiff, and they they like fly off of it. Her mole is on the left side instead of the right side, or something like that.
Interesting. I can't say during that scene I was ever really concentrating on the mole.
No, I don't think so either. I didn't even know she had one, to be honest with you. Jabba's scene was played backwards when Luke offers him the droids. You can tell this because the bubbles in the pipe in front of him, instead of going up, are going down.
Well, that reminds me of the famous scene in Episode 4 where the Sand People attack, right? We have the very first of the Sand People, and he got his little gaffy stick above his head. They actually like take that scene and they loop it. And so really
he only did it once.
And literally, I mean, for those of you following along at home, I recorded it here. Yeah, they just looped that like a couple times.
They did that like 3 times.
Yeah.
They're the fun ones that I found about Return of the Jedi. And now A New Hope, I mean, there's thousands. That I remember reading like a 10-page paper of all of the mistakes and fun facts and all that good stuff.
Well,
so
Episode 4 was just like a series of events that somehow led to a franchise. I mean, like,
yes,
Star Wars should not have been. You know what I mean? With how crazy it was. And Episode 4 is just full of just like, I can't believe this became what it did, despite Episode 4.
So one of the interesting things, I guess it was released 20th Century Fox or whatever production company had it. Not a lot of movie theaters were buying it. Very few movie theaters were buying it. And they said, if you don't buy this, we're not going to let you show this other movie that they had coming out in the next month and a half or 2 months through the summer. So then all of these movie theaters then bought Star Wars. And the funny thing about it was Star Wars outgrossed this other movie by like 300% or something like that. Like, it was, Star Wars was like such a huge blockbuster, and this other movie didn't even do anything. So I don't have it written down, but I did read it. So
this is podcast research at its finest.
This is it at its look. I have 3 pages of notes. I left that one out, but then now I'm trying to talk about it, which is bad reporting for you right there.
A page of notes, which is about a page more than I usually do.
There you go. In The New Hope, of course, you have the lightless lightsaber scenes. Obi-Wan Kenobi at one point. Yeah. Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, both were holding lightsabers that were not glowing. Because, do you know how they did it in 77?
You had mentioned to me it was a very arduous process.
Yeah, like they literally went onto the original film, scratched it, and colored over the lines of the lightsabers, because that's how they did it back in the day.
Frame by frame, right?
Frame by frame, yeah.
Thousands of frames. Someone had to sit there and scratch out and color.
And they had to look and try and find these real thin silver blades that they were holding in their hand to see where it was. So obviously somebody missed it a couple of times. The stormtrooper bangs his head. We know that one. That one is so famous now. Like, he has his own website and everything like that. Clunk. They added in the clunk afterwards. Yeah. Lando also bangs his head in Jabba's palace when he's got the mask on with the bone mask and stuff. Mm-hmm. Right before he pulls his mask down, he's walking forward and he bangs his helmet, and it actually moves his mask up a little bit. But Billy D. Williams is so cool that he just made it look awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The hole that they climb through in the trash compactor, when Leia shoots the hole in the trash compactor, when she shoots it, it's too small for them to actually fit through. But then they cut away from it, they go back to it, and then everybody can fit clearly through this much bigger hole later on.
Continuities for geeks.
That's right. You can see Kenny Baker inside of R2D2 at the sandcrawler scene as the top piece is spinning. You know, the little bulb or the little dome in the front.
Sure.
As it's spinning, you have to like pause it to see it, but he apparently has like a light on the inside so that he can work the controls or whatever. And as it goes through, you can see his face in that little circle there.
Nice.
And also, this was a fun one, and this one I actually felt really bad for Kenny Baker. He said that a lot of times when they broke for lunch,
they leave him in there, right?
They forgot about him and they left him in there.
Poor
poor little guy. I'm like, oh man, that stinks. Poor him.
Dude.
Captain Captain Nita, he's still alive.
Oh, really?
You didn't know that? Yes. Darth Vader chokes him. He falls down. 2 of the other people go to drag him out. And if you watch in the background, he stands up all by himself and helps the 2 people carry him out of the room.
I think I saw like a skit about this where like people were just like faking. Like,
Yeah.
think he's choking us.
Well, they did that on
with like a mustache.
They did that on SNL.
That's right.
It was SNL with Kylo Ren. They were like,
that was one of the greatest sketches ever, like the Bad Bosses Kylo Ren version.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was a great.
And he didn't actually know how to use the Force.
That's
Everybody
right.
just pretended like and it was the same people over and over again,
That's
like
right.
you said, with different mustaches or whatever.
That's great.
The first rebel, you talked about it earlier, that Vader choked out in the very beginning. He slams into the wall. He gets slammed into the wall, but when he's choking him in the beginning, you hear a crack noise, which is supposed to let you know that Vader broke his neck.
Right.
So if your neck is broken, when you get thrown into a wall, you're not going to be able to.
Ragdoll.
Yeah, he puts his hands up to stop him.
He goes, oh no.
Like, and then his like fall is really like lame. It was a really bad fall.
It was the 70s. People weren't quite as critical of minutia as they are today.
Yes. No, not at all, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. The crate dragon skeleton that R2D2 and C-3PO walk past is still in the middle of the Tunisian desert today.
Really?
Yeah, they left it there. They just left it there.
That's
when
awesome.
they went back in 2002 to film, I guess episode 3 or whatever, maybe episode 2, episode 3, whatever. A bunch of the crew went over to that location and it was still there. So that's fun. Originally,
some Star Wars fan hasn't come and stolen it.
I know, right? Some rich Star Wars fan hasn't, because it's probably big. Originally, R2D2 talked. He didn't just do beeps and whistles, and he had a potty mouth, which is why C-3PO is always reacting to him. He was actually reacting to his actual words in episode 4 because he was actually talking at the time. And then the last one, we talked about it already, James Earl Jones and David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, never met during filming. Yeah. So those are just some of the fun facts that I have about it.
Sure.
So go ahead and
Star Wars.
Yes.
Sure. But we do have to. I mean, it's been a little over an hour now. Man, we always think like, man, let's keep it 45, tight 45. And then it's like an hour and 20 minutes and we're still talking, right? But we do want to make sure we get to some bad quotes. Star Wars is a great thing.
Yes, let's get some bad quotes.
Star Wars is one of my favorite things that exist. But it has also culminated in some of the worst lines in history. And I think a lot of that comes from the prequels. George Lucas is a fantastic, brilliant mind, but not a great writer. So we want to talk about some of your very least favorite quotes of Star Wars history, right? And if you want to, after you're done listening to us talk about this, maybe send in your comments as to what you think are terrible Star Wars lines, or else if you disagree with our Star Wars quotes, that's great. We want to hear from you, but we're going to talk some just terrible, awful Star Wars lines. And I got to tell you, all of mine have a theme.
Okay.
But all of mine have a theme.
I only have 2 because I put more effort into the other stuff, so I figured this would be your thing.
I have like 6.
Okay.
But all 6 of mine follow a same theme. And that theme is they were all spoken by the same actor.
Oh, nice.
And that actor is Jake Lloyd.
Okay.
If you know anything about Jake Lloyd is the chosen one. He was our boy, chosen to play Anakin Skywalker as a child. And he's one of the worst child actors in the business. Bless his heart. If you watched him in Jingle All the Way, he peaked in Jingle All the Way.
And then it went downhill from
that was
there.
the height of his career.
Ironically enough, next week we're having him on the show. So
so we have a separate Jingle All the Way podcast where we talk all about the lore of Jingle All the Way. And he's going to join us there. But yeah, so Jake Lloyd now the prequel trilogy suffers from the fact that George Lucas really took control, and I don't think he's a great writer. He's got a great vision. He's not a great writer. So here are some of the absolutely despicable quotes that Jacob Lloyd was responsible for. First of all,
well, to be fair, the kid didn't write the lines himself.
No, you're right. But here's the thing: when you watch, do you watch Stranger Things?
Yes.
So Stranger Things is a great show.
Yes.
With great writing and great child actors. Those actors,
okay,
are just good actors. It is not a good child actor. Those are actors who are good at their craft. Jake Lloyd was not a good actor when he was 11 and 9 years old. However old he was not a good actor. He could not sell. Even if the lines were great, he would not have been able to sell them. So you see, you're like, who's the kid from Sixth Sense? Not Shia LaBeouf. That's another guy.
I see dead people, but whatever. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Haley Joel Osment.
Yes, Haley Joel Osment. Very good.
Child actor. He could.
Yes. Yes.
This kid could not sell this stuff, right?
Okay.
So
go ahead.
A couple of these lines that this kid just could not sell. Now this is pod racing. Terrible. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Not a good line. No.
Are you an angel?
Oh yeah.
Terrible. It's working. It's working. Terrible. How about his yippee?
When he was so much energy.
Yippee.
Well, he's on a green screen. He has nothing to base off of his emotion.
Do you think that during it's filming day, right? Put yourself, it's 1999. You're Jay Lloyd. You've just gotten, probably $750,000 as a 9-year-old.
Yes.
The biggest role of all time. And you read the script, you go, okay, I'm about to nail this scene. George Lucas goes, action, and you go, yippee!
Yippee!
You think, honest to God,
yippee!
I'm getting an Oscar. I'm getting an Oscar today.
Okay. Can you try that? I don't know. Let's see, with a little emotion this time.
The yip was nice, but the E was more life to it.
Really, really punch that E in there. Yippee! You really punch that E.
The emotion of the scene
yeah.
comes from.
That's where it comes from. All the way down on the E. You really got to nail that E.
So for me, for bad quotes, I have written literally what says on my notes is anything Jake Lloyd says. Honest to God, he was the least part of the trilogy, the sequel or prequel trilogy for me.
Okay.
It makes me sad because I'm a teacher. The poor kid, he was a kid.
Yeah.
And this movie messed up this kid's life, man.
But so you got people all around the set. There's probably 30 people on the set. There's got to be an acting coach somewhere on the set, somebody nearby. There had to have been thousands of kids who auditioned for that role. So out of all the kids that auditioned for that role, that one showed the most promise.
And if you Google Jake Lloyd today, Jake Lloyd, he lost his mind.
Okay.
He went off the deep end, and he blames George Lucas.
Okay, because of I can understand that. He's like Star Wars kid, yeah.
He doesn't blame Arnold Schwarzenegger.
For Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way is probably my favorite holiday movie.
Okay.
Hands down. I love Jingle All the Way. He delivered in Jingle All the Way.
And then Star Wars.
And then Star Wars happened.
Yeah.
I can't get behind it.
Well, I have two quotes.
All right.
One is from episode 9.
Okay.
My name is Skywalker.
Okay.
That's
a pretty controversial line.
I'm not a fan.
I get it.
I'm not a fan. So so that one,
your name
and
is
then
Palpatine. I'm sorry.
Yes,
that's your name.
Yes, that's your name. That's your name. You can't just go changing it just
My
because you
name,
want to be a
my
Skywalker.
here's the deal. My name is Nick Gates,
Nick Gates, yes,
and I
I
think
like
that
that.
somehow
hmm
I don't
Who's
understand
who's
the
the guy?
legality, but
Who's
I
the guy
think
who
somehow I'm
runs?
owed $1 billion.
Yeah, who's the guy who runs Amazon? What's his name?
Oh, that's Bezos, Rob
Yeah,
Bezos.
Rob Bezos. Yeah, Rob
That's
Bezos.
right.
My name, Rob Bezos.
That's right.
Um, and then my other least favorite line of all time, and I don't know if you're going to be able to figure out when it is, but
Okay.
Carrie. That's the whole line.
Carrie?
Carrie. That's it. Yep.
I can't think of it. What is that?
The end of episode 4.
Episode 4.
After they blow up the Death Star, Luke Skywalker flies into the hangar. He comes out.
Oh,
Carrie.
you're right. He says her name, doesn't he?
Yes. He says to him, Luke. And he doesn't say Leia,
Carrie.
he says Carrie.
You
So
know what's
that is why.
funny? I'm not an actor, so I don't get it. But I watch a lot of bloopers. I don't know if you're a big blooper guy, but I think
Oh, yeah.
bloopers are hysterical.
Very
For
funny.
whatever reason, I think when actors break, it's the funniest thing. And for
Yes.
whatever reason, every time when I'm watching, like I was a big Scrubs fan. When you watch Scrubs, when one of the actors of Scrubs accidentally calls them by their real name, they
Right.
lose it. They go
Yeah.
like, "That you call me my name." So
Yeah,
that's
that's
like a
my
big
name.
thing.
hmm
That whole like Leia would be one thing, but calling her Carrie, that's a
Yeah.
big thing.
And I mean, there were a lot of people on the set right there. So George Lucas is sitting right there. Everybody's sitting
You
right
gotta
there.
catch that.
Nobody heard him say
You've got
Carrie.
editors, you've got the
Yeah.
screenwriters, you got
Yep.
like no one went, "Hey man, like Mark said Carrie, maybe we could just dub him saying
We'll
Leia."
just dub it.
Or
Yeah. I mean,
maybe even just not use that audio. Nope.
I have 3 pages of when lines are wrong. Like there's
This
people
is a
talking without
random
moving their
guy
lips.
in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in his basement
Yeah.
can fact check this stuff.
Yeah. Like like they're talking, and throughout the whole movie they're talking without moving their lips, or they're moving their lips and saying different words. You couldn't see Carrie and say, oh, let's change it, make sure he says Leia. Nope.
Oh, no.
So Carrie's in there, so that's one of my favorites.
That's great. That is excellent.
So
If you did not
yes.
hear what you think is the absolute worst Star Wars line, and we've definitely missed a few.
Oh
Don't
yes.
get me wrong, I love Star Wars. I think it's a
Just
great.
about anything Jar Jar Binks said could be
Oh yeah.
written down there. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about the Mandalorian when Bill Burr's character starts making fun of Gungan. It
Yes,
was so good.
it was great.
But yeah, if you think, man, you did not list the real, truest, most terrible line, let us know at banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com. Banthamilk Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Banthamilk on Twitter. Let us know. Say, hey,
Go
Nick,
to our
I know
website.
you're on your third glass of whiskey, but
Yep.
I have a suggestion for you, right? Because
hmm
you missed it, right?
Missed it.
Um, I think that's all we got for today.
I think that's it. I think
It's
that's a
been right on
jam-packed
time.
show.
It's a
It
jam-packed
has
show,
been.
and it's just us. We don't even have like 5 other people on this time.
No, we don't have guests or
When was the
anything. It's just
last
us.
time we had just a me and Rob
It's been a
version of the
while.
show?
Yeah,
It's been a
we
long
started
time.
to really expand, and then it became too much, especially with Zoom and all this stuff. There was just too many people talking. So
Yeah.
once we're allowed to all come back into Banthamilk Studios here, then we can have 4 people again back in here and have a good time.
Yeah.
But
But
I think
we had a good time chatting about terrible quotes. We had a good time
yep,
talking about our new Jedi of the week, right? Which,
Jedi
if you
of
have
the
a
week.
Jedi you want to go ahead and tell us you think we should be featured as Jedi Week, please let us know. We had a good time with our Star Wars news. We talked about our quarantinis. We talked about our social media. We talked about a lot today.
We
Anything else
sure
you think
did.
that the good of the order needs to know?
The only other thing really is, don't forget we're friends with Ears Up now. We're part of their family,
Ears
so you
Up
can
family. Check them
check
out
us
for
out
sure.
on their website, ears up podcast ears up podcast.com. And they have an Amazon link on the Patreon link as well. So if you don't want to support Patreon, which I understand, that's fine. Everybody buys from Amazon. Do your Amazon shopping, click on the little Amazon link there on their website, and then then we get money that way. So that's pretty much it. I mean, we did it all. You may see us soon, one of these days, on the Supreme Resort, being a judge on the Supreme Resort.
That's right.
And we may get those Supreme Resort guys on here because they are Star Wars nerds as well. So it'll work out.
So if you have any questions, comments, quandaries, queries, conundrums, please let us know. Banthamilkpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media. My name is Nick. This is Rob. We always have a good time talking to you about Star
We
Wars.
sure do.
Um,
Let us know what you want us to talk about. We'll
let
talk
us know
about it.
if you have topics that you want to let us know about for shows. If you have specific eras of Star Wars you want us to go ahead and get more in depth about. If you want us to talk about certain movies, certain video games, certain books, let us know. We're
Let
open
us
to
know.
it. We
That's
are
right.
open books. We are teachers. It's about to be summer. We're about to have a little time on our hands. A little, not much. I'm buying a house,
Little.
but a little, right?
Yep.
So let us know what you got. We're here. We're ready to answer your questions. Anything else for the good of the order, Mr.
I don't
Rob?
think so. Go ahead and take us out of here,
It
Nick.
has been a fabulous time, and from all of us here at Banthamilk headquarters here in sunny New Jersey, we have spoken.
We have spoken.